Most people do not intend to wreck their lives, yet the path to disaster is paved with small, almost imperceptible steps. Anonymous, there is a harsh underlying truth about married women that most guys do not see. The truth makes them the easiest prey, not because they are weak or lack morality, but because human nature is predisposed to temptation. Nobody gets up one day and says, "I think I'll betray everything I've built." Instead, it occurs in the most inconspicuous moments, innocuous conversations, fleeting glances, and the palpable flutter in her heart upon receiving a text from someone apart from her spouse. Psychologists have been studying this process for decades, calling it the gradual erosion of borders. One step at a time, one idea at a time, until she looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize herself. So, why are some married women so easy to seduce? And how do they justify it to themselves? That is precisely what we are going to reveal. Let us begin. Why do some married women seek external attention? Great marriages are partnerships. A wonderful marriage cannot exist without a partnership. Helen Mirren. Marriage at its best is a bond that endures time, challenges and temptations. However, not all marriages are as strong as they once were. Despite taking vows, some women still seek attention outside their marriage. Usually it is more than just physical attraction, it is also psychological. The most common mistake is presuming that these ladies are looking for a getaway. In actuality, many of them are only looking for something they misplaced along the road. Humans are wired for connection. Women, in particular, have a deep desire for emotional connection, not just physical presence. In the early years of marriage, this intimacy is strong. Late-night chats, stolen glances, and a sense of being seen. It is intoxicating. However, routine gradually takes control. Suddenly, life becomes more predictable. The serious chats morph into logistical debates about food lists and household tasks. Passion gives way to responsibility, and worse still, she begins to feel invisible. Here is where the risk starts. Dr. John Gottman, a renowned relationship psychologist, asserts that indifference, not confrontation, is the silent killer of partnerships. When a woman no longer feels noticed by her husband, her subconscious mind begins to seek validation elsewhere, often without her knowing it. People will do anything to avoid being lonely, even if it means losing themselves in the process. Mitch Albom. A simple comment from a stranger, a talk with a man who truly listens, a moment when she feels fascinating again, and that small encounter feels like fresh air after years of suffocation. Marriage comes with duties, like predictability and stability. However, stability often kills excitement. In psychology, this phenomenon is known as the Coolidge effect, the notion that novelty is what arouses desire. People, whether male or female, are lured to the thrill of the unknown. If a woman has been married for years, if every day is the same, and every conversation feels scripted, the tiniest hint of something fresh might be explosive. Not because she doesn't love her husband, or because she is a nasty person, but because she misses the excitement of being wanted. We are most alive when we are in love. Anonymous. But love is more than just being together. It is also about keeping an emotional connection. It's about being chosen again and again. F. Scott Fitzgerald. When a woman feels pursued, when she believes she controls a man's desire, it brings up memories of a younger, more confident version of herself, the one who was effortlessly attractive. So, even if she never plans to cross any lines, she may begin walking closer to them because, in those few moments, she feels alive again. Another factor that contributes to some married women's reliance on external validation is loss of social identity. Following marriage, many women begin to feel as if they are no longer individuals. They become someone's wife, mother, and caregiver. Their identity evolves from who I am to who I am for others. Prior to marriage, she was a mystery, an individual with dreams, interests, and passions. After marriage, she is characterized by her roles as wife, mother, and supporter, the one who keeps everything together. These roles are beautiful, but they can also be confining. If a woman no longer feels like her person, she may seek connections that allow her to feel independent from her role, which might occasionally take the form of another guy. The justification game. The mind will always find a way to justify what the heart has already decided. No one gets up one morning and decides, "I think I'll betray my marriage today." That is not how it works. When a married woman engages in emotionally or physically dangerous activity, it does not occur all at once. It's a lengthy, slippery process that is frequently rationalized in the darkest recesses of her mind long before it manifests in reality. The truth is that guilt is a terrible weight, and if someone can convince themselves that what they're doing isn't actually wrong, they won't have to carry it. So, how does it happen? How do married women rationalize their actions? At first, everything seems innocent. What's the harm in getting a little extra attention? I'm just talking to him. There's nothing wrong about it. It's not like I'm cheating. I'm simply enjoying the moment. The human brain is a virtuoso at deceiving itself. If something feels wonderful but contradicts one's moral standards, the brain makes justifications to fill the void. Psychologists refer to this as cognitive dissonance, the tension that emerges when our behaviors contradict our beliefs. When the tension gets too much to handle, the mind alters reality to protect itself. The easiest person to fool is yourself. Richard Feynman. So a woman who was previously fully loyal begins to play mental games. She downplays her behavior, saying, "It's just flirting. I'm not going to do anything." She shifts the blame. "If my husband paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have needed this." She compartmentalizes. "This has nothing to do with my marriage. This is just something unique for me." But here's the thing. The more she justifies, the further she'll go. For many married women, the initial betrayal is not physical, but emotional. This is what makes it risky. Physical infidelity is unambiguous. There is no gray area in kissing, sleeping with, or intimately touching another man. However, when it comes to emotional affairs, the boundaries become more hazy. There are instances of late-night texts, deeper chats than necessary, and the revelation of personal issues with a man apart from her husband. She initially assures herself that it's only an emotional reaction and that discussing it won't hurt anything. However, emotional connectedness is powerful. When a woman shares her intellect, thoughts, and feelings with a man, she is already disconnecting from her husband. Cheating may not usually involve a physical act. When you start harboring secrets from your relationship, you've already passed the boundary. The unknown is where the true risk lies. Intense emotions lead to the breakdown of physical boundaries. The "I deserve this" justification. The final and most harmful explanation is the "I deserve this" mentality. At this point, a woman's behaviors are no longer considered suspicious. She views them as justified. "I've made so many sacrifices for this marriage. I deserve to feel better again. He's neglected me for years, so why should I care? I've been faithful for so long, and it hasn't gotten me anywhere." What is the point? There's no turning back now. At this point, the emotional bond she has developed with another guy feels more genuine than the marriage itself. Her mind has fully persuaded her that stepping over the boundary is not betrayal, but rather justice. And if a person believes something is justified, nothing can deter them. The reason married women can be easy prey is not because they are weak-willed or immoral. Rather, the human brain is evolved to rationalize what feels good. It starts with minor reasons and justifications, but if left unchecked, those justifications become behaviors. And once the line is crossed, there is no turning back. The breaking point. The chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. Samuel Johnson. Every story reaches a critical juncture where dialogue, harmless flirtation, and justification cease. The game is no longer a game. It is now real. And the scariest part? Most ladies do not understand it until it is too late. In psychology, there is a notion known as threshold theory. It explains why people who say they'll never do something wind up doing it. Their success is because the challenge lies not in doing the task, but in doing it correctly the first time. The first time she sends a message, she realizes she shouldn't. She originally met him as pals. The first time she feels his fingers linger for too long and doesn't pull away, everything changes. The second time is easier than the first. What we do repeatedly, we become. Aristotle. And before she realizes it, what was once forbidden begins to feel natural. The biggest deception people tell themselves while they are on a risky path is, I can stop whenever I want. But can they? Not really. Anything that elicits an emotional response has the potential to become addictive. Neuroscientists discovered that love and sexual desire trigger the same neural pathways as drug addiction. The dopamine rush of a new connection is addictive, like a hit of something she wasn't even aware she needed. So even if she tells herself, this is the last time, she will find a cause to return. At this point, it's not about the other man. It's about how she feels when she's with him. At first, lying feels strange. The first time she hides a message, the first time she crafts an excuse, the first time her heart races as her husband asks, "Who are you texting?" It doesn't feel right. However, the human mind is terrifyingly flexible, and remorse eventually gives way to strategy. She becomes increasingly adept at concealing her actions. She compartmentalizes so successfully she no longer feels guilty. She starts to believe her falsehoods. Since keeping a secret makes it harder to reveal, things spiral. She may convince herself, I'll end it next week, next month, or soon. But weeks stretch into months, and by the time she knows she's caught in her web, it's too late. When a woman has gone too far, her mind shifts to the point where she no longer considers her marriage to be her primary relationship. Her husband becomes the other man. The true connection, passion, and intimacy are happening somewhere else. Even if she hasn't physically crossed the boundary, her heart is already with someone else. When that happens, the story can only conclude in two ways. She is detected, or she walks away from her husband, unable to live a double life any longer. So why are some married women such easy prey? Their vulnerability is due to their desire to experience something they've lost, not to cheat. Walking away feels impossible after they've found it, not because they don't love their husbands, but because they've convinced themselves that what they've discovered is something they'll never find again at home. And once that mindset takes hold, nothing will ever be the same again. Understanding this fact gives you the power to see what others miss, decipher hidden clues, and identify silent signals before they become irreversible. And with that understanding, you'll never be oblivious to the game again. This book is a Stoic guide. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.